My name is Marian Thomas Semerdjian, and I have 20 years of experience working in digital media and advertising. I've worked for some of the biggest ad agencies, media and tech companies in the United States, such as BBDO, New Line Cinema, Warner Brothers, Yahoo, BuzzFeed, and Zynga. I know advertising really well, and all of the decision-making in advertising is based on data. And so my whole career has been based on one common denominator, which is data. And so I started my career working at an ad agency. I taught myself how to code HTML in a week. I really wanted to work at an ad agency. I got a job as a webmaster for Shiba.com cat food back in 1998 when the internet was just starting out. And I got to work my way up through my career working on the pipes. Right now, you all use Google and you guys use Facebook, but to be honest, they actually acquired the technology that was built back in 1998, which was DoubleClick and Atlas DMT, which is the original ad servers. And again, the backbone of all of this is data. At the movie studio, I use data in media planning skills and really understanding the moviegoer behavior and using probabilistic models, not deterministic like they do today, but really trying to look and understand media plans and driving consumers to watch movie trailers, to buy tickets, and to purchase home entertainment products. And I was able to do a full circle ROI for digital marketing back then for Lord of the Rings, Austin Powers, and really be able to prove that opening weekend, 15% of all ticket sales came from online and 80% of all searches came from online. I took my love of data and went to the publisher side, and I did the same thing at Yahoo, but I looked at Yahoo Movies and tried to figure out how to make the product better and how to create advertising products that were engaging to, again, drive people to engage, to get more information about the movie, watch a trailer, search for showtimes, and then eventually buy tickets. And then at BuzzFeed, I used data again, because over there, I was able to take the impossible task of taking a serious advertiser like Marian, it's all about like finance and performance-based media, and be able to prove to them that branded content, if done right, can actually increase your organic searches and decrease your paid search media. And that was really new and exciting for them. And finally, at Zynga, currently in my job is to provide the sales team with data, targeting, and measurement solutions to help them sell more media. I work with syndicated tools, I work with internal research tools, and external teams and internal teams to really figure out the consumers who play our games, what they do, what their behaviors are, and try and match those behaviors to advertisers. And so my main job is to curate first-party data, third-party data in a privacy-compliant way, and create audience segments that advertisers want, and then also to create measurement solutions that can prove various KPIs in the purchase funnel. So you can see I have a huge passion for data, and so today I am going to talk about how identity fuels both targeting and measurement in advertising, and why consent-based first-party data is really the key to the future of advertising. So today, if you leave with one thing to remember is own your own data. Own your own data. And your data is the currency of the future. So, oops. And here we go. Hold on. All right. So we're talking about identity and why it's important for advertisers, challenges facing the ecosystem, and how it works. Programmatic advertising chain, you know, the advertisers here, and they're basically buying media. This is the demand side platform, and this is basically putting the bid in for an ad using data from the DMP. And then over here, the publisher is the closest to the consumer, and they're basically putting all their inventory in the supply channel here. And both of the, this is the seller, this is the buyer, and it goes into an exchange, kind of like the stock market, and the highest bidder wins. All of this is basically tied to identity. So when data passes through, you'll see that identity could be various things. Identity is really all bundled into one user profile. And that identity can have multiple identifiers, such as your cookies, your hashed email, your website logins. All of these get stitched together to create someone's identity. And so when it's passing through that programmatic chain, each company has its own ID system, And so when you think about this and you stitch all of this together in one line of data for storytelling, for serving ads, your ad is going to have a lot of layers of data in one line, and that creates so much latency in the pipeline. And so we're trying to, as an industry, lessen that because it's really complicated. But that's one of the challenges as well. And if we think about it, marketers today rely on so many different kinds of identifiers. They stitch this together, whether it's anonymized or not. And for the most part, almost everyone's using either cookies or the device ID to do targeting. But there's also a lot of other people who are using phone numbers or login data or IP address or email address. And while people think that identifiers only have to do with targeting, it also fuels measurement. So when you think about reach and frequency capping and impressions and clicks, or being able to do specific sequential creative messaging, or attribution, all of that is the measurement part, and then audience targeting, remarketing is the targeting part. So how brands overall think about identity is really, they're buying multi-channel. They're buying across TV, internet, console, all these different places. And they want to be able to really understand the consumer journey. And they don't want to bombard them with messages. You don't want to have the same message every single time you open your computer and your TV from the same ad. And so identity helps brands manage reach and frequency across multiple channels. So you're not hitting them too many times. Because brands really want to buy omni-channel, and they want to buy all of these channels, and they want to buy all this kind of placements, mostly video. And what they want to do is target them and measure them in a really efficient way across all these channels in an automated way. And a lot of AI technology and machine learning is actually taking over the bidders, and it's really about how and what kind of information you feed them. So when you think about targeting and the purchasing funnel, going all the way down to purchase and collecting first-party data, you use your first-party data, and the types of targeting you could do is retarget your users and onboard and then eventually you can extend that first-party data and create lookalike modeling and all of that. And then when you think of the top of the funnel, you really want broad targeting, so age, gender really helps you fine-tune that, but it's still broad, high reach. And then you can go to targeted prospecting, such as frequent moviegoers. And depending on what kind of targeting you use, your ROI, your return on investment, is going to vary. And your KPIs are going to be varied. And your KPIs are going to be specific measurement solutions accordingly. So what are the challenges? Well, we got a lot of challenges. Last year, Mozilla and Firefox got rid of the cookie, but Google, decided to keep it a little longer. Last week, Google made the big announcement, the third-party cookie is going away. California has the CCPA in California. You've got the Europe GDPR. You also have Virginia law, and possibly the United States will have a federal law with regards to privacy and data. And then finally, it doesn't matter what your European laws are, California law, because Apple as a platform has made the decision to make the IDFA opt-in. And that means that a lot of people who are using the IDFA without permission, doing all these deterministic models, are basically going to lose one of the most important moneymakers in digital and mobile apps. So if you ask advertisers last year, what was really the top concern with all of this stuff going on, and it's really the data regulation, attribution, targeting, and identity. This is top of mind for many. And the impact and the loss of the IDFA, it's going to be varied depending on who you are in that programmatic channel that I showed you in the beginning. Whether you're a publisher, whether you're DSP and mobile measurement platform. And what's interesting about these guys, because these guys are losing so much power because they're losing the IDFA, a lot of these companies are getting acquired by other ad tech companies. And then whether you have an app and you have user acquisition, if you don't own your data, you're going to be missing out on all of that. And of course, advertisers are going to miss out on all of this. And this is what's scary, and a lot of them don't even know what's hitting them next year or this year. So with all of that said, there's various solutions in the industry right now. And right now, I'm focused on data clean rooms because they focus on measurement. It's like taking your anonymous data and giving it to third party, the advertiser and the publisher, and all they do is measure it, such as Nielsen and Kantar. On this side, you've got universal ID, and here the idea is to create an interoperable shared ID across publishers in the supply chain. And the idea there is that, you know, whether you're buying TV, internet, or whatever, if you use this ID system, you can have unique reach across everybody who has media. And so these are the top runners there. And then last week, Google made a big announcement, and Google's decided they're not going to use the identifier from Apple. Instead, Google's going to focus on Flock, which is basically federated learning of cohorts, which is using machine learning in the browser. And what they're going to do is allow people to do the logic and decision making in the real-time bidding auctions inside the browser. And it's taking away the power from all of these guys in the supply chain. So what's the solution? Consent-based. Ask permission. You know, if you create trust with your users, you're going to get so much more. And make consent management flexible for the user. I love this Twitter example because Twitter is actually making it toggleable. They're also giving you an option on personal, inferred identity, and they really kind of explain it in a short, easy way to understand with options to be able to be, it's mobile responsive too, and it's great. Or bring the privacy policy in the UI, in the app itself, because this is also going to help the user. And, you know, instead of reading a deep dive privacy policy, which you can still do in small text, bringing it into the UI, FAQ based, and really allowing the user to get the information they want about privacy, get educated, and be able to give you their information. And finally, make it fun. I mean, you have to make it fun. Making identity fun. What is the value that you're giving to the user? If I have to think about for mobile gaming, a lot of it is rewarded ads. You will get a reward. You will get 50 coins to play your game longer if you watch an ad from your sponsor. That's fantastic because the consumer has a clear value exchange for the information they're giving. So those are the kinds of things. You can make it fun. You can make it, you know, tell them why it's so important. Sharing, giving you more information, making the game better, whatever it is, it's sharing and making more relevant ads as well. And finally, there's also interest-based ad choices that you can give consumers as well. And really, all of this is about how you put that identity together. You create a data asset, and the data asset's going to basically be various things stitched together, but this is all going to be first party on your end, and you don't want to depend on somebody else. And then later, as you start thinking about advertising, you're going to standardize your first-party data into your identity graph, and that's going to basically be your asset that you can use in the advertising supply chain, whether it's a DSP, exchange, or network. And now your inventory is going to have a higher value. Instead of selling it for $7 CPM, you're going to sell it for a $10 CPM or $15 CPM because you have authenticated audiences and identity, and you know who your users are.
Marian, what do you think? Can we sum up?
When you're going to look at the
Marian,
whole picture,
what do you think? Can we sum up the presentation? I'm sorry.
Yep, this is the last page.
Thank you.
Identity fuels both targeting and measurement. And what does this mean for Armenia? There's a mobile Lumascape, an audio Lumascape, a video Lumascape, and there's a $300 billion advertising industry that's powered by data and software. The entire ecosystem is ad tech solutions and SaaS solutions. Targeting and measurement is powered by identity and data. Armenia can grow its economy by getting up to speed and building the right pipes and foundation for the advertising for the future. So if you remember one thing today, own your data. Your data is the currency of the future.
Marian, thanks a lot again for joining us. Question? Oh, there is a question. I'm sorry. Just a minute.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. I'm Lilith, and you briefly mentioned about the opportunities that this industry can create for Armenia, and I wonder, can you briefly maybe list the core challenges that you see from your perspective for the industry to grow from here?
For the industry to go, Armenia currently is 10 years behind in ad tech. A lot of the focus in Armenia right now is like website, social, a little bit of like search media buying. There isn't a lot of volume there, and programmatic advertising isn't used as much because there isn't a lot of apps. So I think as Armenia starts having more and more media companies or apps that are getting a lot of users, and you're starting to play in the ad business, and that's why I think it's important now at this data conference to be here to talk to you guys about this, because I think that if we focus on understanding what it is that we need to know, what it is that we need to learn about advertising and data, so that as we have all these businesses in Armenia starting apps, building websites, we can start pooling that data and really understanding the core foundation, and eventually hopefully build a network so that Armenia shares this information and we have a leg up on everybody else and can, be more efficient and make more money that way,